Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our board meeting. If we can have roll call, please.
Mrs. Berrigan?
Here?
Ms. Anderson?
Here?
Ms. Ward?
Here.
Dr. Simpson?
Here.
And if you can all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have before us the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Been motioned and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And we have the approval of the minutes from our previous board meeting.
Motion. Second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Dr. Sprout, your superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Berrigan and governing board members. Almost 30 students received perfect scores in at least one area of the AZ M2 assessment that was administered this past spring. Tonight, we would like to recognize 5 students whose performance on these assessments have set them apart. Note that we did not give this the state assessment in 2020, and so this is based on last year and previous years. So students, when I call your name, if you'd please come forward. President Berrigan will give you your certificate. You can step over here and we will get your picture. And parents, if you want to get a picture, or you can email us and we'll send you the picture that we take. So we're going to get started with Alec Halterman, Paseo Point 6th grader. Okay, so listen to this. Alec scored he's a 6th grader at Paseo Point. Alec scored a perfect score on both the ELA and math sections of the 2021 assessment. He also had a perfect score in 2019 in math, so congratulations, Alec. All right. Next, Megan Garris, Vista del Sur 7th grader. Megan had a perfect score in the ELA section of the 2021 and the 2019 assessments. Congratulations, Megan. Next, Vista del Sur 7th grader Patrick Min. Patrick had a perfect score in the math section of the 2021, 2019, and 2018 assessments. Congratulations, Patrick. Next, we have Vista del Sur 7th grader Emelise Winter. Emelise had a perfect score in the math section of 3 years, 2021, 2019, and 2018. Congratulations, Emelise. We have one more student to recognize. She was not able to be here tonight, and boy, what's going on in that 7th grade at Vista del Sur, Ms. Epax? Kenzie Maldonado. Kenzie had a perfect score in the math section of the 2021 and 2018 assessments and received a perfect score in both math and ELA in 2019. So congratulations to Kenzie Maldonado. A reminder to all of you parents and those who are listening online that we have a scholarship program for all of our students that are promoted from 8th grade in the district. So we can see the trajectory that these students are on. And remember, when you're getting ready to graduate from high school, to come back and apply for one of the Levine Education Foundation scholarships. Let's give these students another round of applause. Two Levine churches have recently provided uniforms to our schools. Christ Church of the Valley donated thousands of dollars to our schools in order to purchase uniforms, and volunteers from Crosswalk Church also collected, laundered, and sorted hundreds of gently used uniforms for our health offices to keep in stock as students need them. Thank you to Christ Church of the Valley and Crosswalk Church. We are back in the swing of things. Curriculum nights are happening now. Our annual curriculum nights have started, and Levine Elementary School was, I think, the first school out of the blocks, and they hosted a fun Be a Reading Superhero-themed event. The evening provided families with important information on the curriculum, digital resources, and mindfulness program, and gave students an incentive to start reading with their own superhero book. And if you haven't seen on your school calendar yet, they are coming. We look forward to seeing you at curriculum night. During the second and third week of school, we administered benchmark assessments to our students in ELA and math. For grades K through 8, we administered the NWEA MAP Growth Assessment. And additionally, to support early literacy and move on when reading, we administered Ames Web Plus assessments to our K-3 students. In total, there are over 35,000 scores available from these assessments, and we analyze this data. Our school teams do this in order to accelerate learning and to provide additional support to students who need it. Rogers Ranch held their first STEM night of the school year on September 2nd. The event was facilitated by the Arizona Science Center, and families were invited to engage in activities centered on engineering, and they had a great turnout. It was wonderful as a former science teacher to see families working together on STEM problems. And next. There we go. A group of Levine students participated in their first esports community game night of the year recently. Participants played Rocket League and Fortnite with other students from around the country on the Twitch esports channel. I don't know what any of that means, but it sounds like fun. Next. During the first month of the school year, our Mentoring and Induction of New Teachers program, also known as MINT, was implemented across all of our campuses. MINT is our mentoring program for all new to Levine teachers in both their first and second years of working in our district. Administrators, instructional coaches, and lead teachers from across the district implement and oversee the MINT program to ensure that our new teachers are successful. And a reminder that while many of our teacher mentees are now in their second year of teaching, they are just now experiencing their first traditional experience in Levine, and they, just like our first year teachers, are in need of a strong support system. We are basically fully staffed with teachers right now, which a lot of districts cannot claim, but I will tell you, not only is MINT impactful for our teachers, but it is a very valuable recruiting tool. As the question we get the most from teacher recruits is, how do we support our new teachers? When these future teachers see that we are invested in supporting and in growing new teachers, it makes their decision to join our team all that much easier. So the MINT program. And now we have our Employees of the Month. This employee arrives every day with a smile on her face, ready to assist in any way that she can. Her positivity radiates and spreads throughout the district as she supports multiple school sites as the occupational therapist. She is observant to the needs of students and staff and relishes solving problems that come her way. She demonstrates patience, calmness, and compassion to her students and builds strong relationships with them. She also works closely with parents to help teach them strategies that will strengthen students' fine motor skills. She is eager to learn new skills or strategies to be more effective at her job while putting students' needs first. Our certified employee of the month is Levine occupational therapist Veronica Lopez. And now our Executive Director of Student Services, Dr. Todd Leolius, has a few remarks.
I'm the luckiest director in the state of Arizona. I've got the most amazing staff, and all the principals know the great staff we have, and they support our staff, and I thank them for it. Veronica has made this position her own. She has had an incredible impact on her students, the teachers that work with her students, and I've had the pleasure of watching her do it remotely as well. And she can do it all. She has made this position her own, and this is a great recognition, and I am very proud of her. So congratulations.
And now our Classified Employee of the Month. As a school receptionist, this employee is the first person MC Cash visitors encounter when they enter the building. She is always positive and greets staff and families alike with a great big smile and a desire to meet their needs. She embodies the idea that it takes a village to raise our kids, and she is a willing participant in any task that makes the lives of students, teachers, staff members, and families easier. She takes the initiative to problem solve and completes dozens of unseen and unapplauded tasks each day, making things as seamless as possible for the rest of our staff, of the MC Cash staff. Our Classified Employee of the Month is MC Cash Receptionist Dalila Tavazon. And Principal Lisa Sandomir.
So, I could actually just go on and add to that nomination, but really, what I want to say is that Dalila truly is one of the kindest, most authentic human beings I have ever known. And in the most unassuming manner, you make the world a better place and you make our castle a better place. So, thank you.
So, Governing Board, as I'm sure you remember, we have recognized our certified staff through our Excellence in Education and our classified staff through the Exceptional Service Award. Tonight, we will be giving our annual Pinnacle of Leadership Awards, which recognize the members of our administrative team. Before recognizing 5 individuals, I would like to acknowledge our entire administrative team before the Governing Board tonight and emphasize to the board what an amazing group we have assembled. A team that provides leadership that impacts the lives of thousands. A a team that works incredibly hard to ensure that we provide the best education to our students, a wonderful place to work for our employees, and ensures that our community, that our district is key to the greatness of the Laveen community. Let's give them, all of our administrators, a round of applause. That's that group way back there. You see them. They are awesome. So here are the 5 2021-22 Pinnacle of Leadership recipients. Yeah. And once again, President Berrigan will be handing out the, what are they called, Kristen? Whatever, those things, okay? I don't know what they're exactly called, but they look really nice. Okay, so here we go. For leadership in her role as assistant principal that includes providing the highest level of instructional support and builds alliances rooted in a deep sense of responsibility and care for the students and staff and community, and for her oversight of the Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports program at MC Cash School for the past, how many years is it? 7 years, Assistant Principal Nikki Goodwin. Next, for leadership in her role as assistant principal and her unwavering support, wisdom, innovation, and initiative, particularly with the school's Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports program and her instructional leadership of all staff, a true MVP during the last year as we had an administration transition at Trailside Point Performing Arts Academy, Assistant Principal Ashley Grant. For her leadership in the opening of an outstanding new school that provides a new choice for our community, including the implementation of Laveen's newest signature program and the oversight of the creation of Laveen's online option for families, the principal of Estrella Foothills Global Academy and the Laveen Online Academy, Sarah Zimbrewski. I do. I have it, so. For her leadership in all things curricula, including textbook adoptions and implementations, pacing guides, leading our instructional coaches, and the list goes on. All of her work to support instructional excellence for our students. And I have to say, one of the most positive and upbeat people you will ever meet, our Director of Curriculum, Dr. Tracy Watkins. For his leadership of multiple departments that support learning, for ensuring the highest level of stewardship of our resources, for his advocacy at the state level for our district and for public schools in general, and for his innovative future planning for the district in our growing community, serving as the Chief Financial Officer, Kevin Haggerty. And now this is a great night. We are so excited to have students and families back in this room to do a classroom spotlight. And so Rogers Ranch is here tonight, and I'm going to turn it over to Principal Megan Hamburg, if you would like to introduce your classroom spotlight. And thank you all for being here.
Good evening, President Berrigan, governing board members, Dr. Sprout, and guests. We have entered a learning recovery year, and Rogers Ranch teachers have been intentional with providing our students with opportunities to engage in project-based learning. One of those areas naturally occurs within STEM. It is not about the subject, but about the learning process of inquiry, imagination, questioning, problem solving, creativity, invention, and collaboration. Science, technology, and engineering do not exist without mathematics. None exist without the capacity for reading and writing. In a book entitled The STEM Shift, I will quote the following: STEM is an organizational principle upon which to build the interconnectedness of subjects. Project-based learning provides students with opportunities to think critically, problem solve both independently and collaboratively. This also is a natural way for differentiation to and within the instruction to occur in the classroom setting. It is with great pleasure that I introduce you to Mrs. Snow, who is our STEM special area teacher, but also an essential support for our STEM initiatives at the ranch. Accompanying Mrs. Snow are 8 awesome, fantastic third grade students that are representing all 4 of our third grade classrooms at Rogers Ranch. Mrs. Snow?
Good evening, Governing Board. Thank you for this opportunity to highlight the wonderful things that happen at Rogers Ranch. We are a unique school because we are a STEM school, and we offer specific lessons for our students to engage in STEM learning based on their science standards. So each quarter, the students will engage in a hands-on, authentic learning experience so that they can deepen their understanding and deepen their learning. So our students here, our third graders, were able to participate in a special engineering project a little bit ahead of their classmates, because these usually come at the end of the quarter as a cumulative assessment So they worked with me after school for a couple of days, and their challenge was to design a musical instrument that created 2 different pitches. 3rd grade is learning all about sound and light, and so they have learned that sound is a type of energy and that it is created through vibrations. Changing how quickly an object vibrates changes its pitch. So these students were given materials that are found in our makerspace. They can also be found in your home cabinet. We have a gift for each of our board members, so you can take a bag with you so that you can also create your own musical instrument that creates at least 2 pitches. A challenge to you, smarter than a 3rd. So these kids did a great job. They came in with me and they were super excited to do this project. They collaborated with each other. They listened to each other. I heard things like, oh, does that make 2 pitches? Why don't we try this material? Or what happens if we do this? And so part of their learning experience is actually through failure. So part of what I've always taught them is we make mistakes so that we can learn from them. So that was part of our process. They had to make sure that they went through the improved process to identify where their weak points were so that they could make them even stronger. So, are we ready? Our students would like to demonstrate their musical instruments for you all. You guys want to go ahead and find your spot on the other side of the table?
Any particular one?
No, just.
Yeah, if you guys want to go ahead and go on over there, you can ask the kids questions. They can explain their process.
Oh, okay.
Is that the Dr. Center's comment?
Thank you. I have something for you here in a second too. I think, are we having a stand here, Jeff?
Oh, yeah.
There, Kentucky Center.
This final gift.
Yeah, and you need to bring it back next board meeting.
Want me to bring it back and show you what I created? I'll make it and show you what I did. Okay. Good job, thank you, buddy.
So we're going to get a picture. First of all, let's give these students a round of applause.
Yeah, maybe. I'll go behind. I got my heels on, okay? All right. Can you pop through there? There you go.
Parents, do you want to get a quick picture? We can do that.
Stay smiling, guys.
Yeah, stay smiling. No, they hurt. Okay, guys, let's smile for your parents. Thank you, guys. We have some-
There you go. Thank you for all your hard work this year. All right. Okay.
Where'd Miss Snow go? There, come on up, Miss Snow. Let's give her a round of applause. These are the wonderful experiences that I know these students will not forget. So thank you, Miss Snow. Thank you, Miss Hamburg and your team. Thank you, students and parents. It was great having you here tonight and to see all your instruments. And I'm going to go home and make something.
Yes,
So,
you will.
yeah. And that concludes the superintendent's report.
Okay.
President Berrigan.
Thank you, Dr. Sprout. Thank you, families, for being here tonight. You're the first set of families we've had back since things have been a little unusual, and we really appreciate you being here, supporting our students and supporting the district. So we're going to move on to the business portion of our meeting. You don't have to stay for that. You're certainly welcome to stay, but we'll pause for a few moments. So if you want to leave, you may leave now. Thank you for coming. everybody's ready. We will resume the board meeting. No call to public? Okay. And we have a consent agenda before us. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
It's been motioned and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And we have for our consideration the 2021-22 Educator Effectiveness Performance Pay Plan. Do I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And our physical therapist evaluation instrument as well.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Comments from the board. Dr. Centers, we'll begin with you.
Yeah, it's great to have.
How many musical instruments do you have down there?
They know I have a lot of kids. They're too short.
Okay.
Pray for me.
Got it. Oh, I can share.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's absolutely great to have the students here and the classroom. I was thinking about, I have a buddy of mine whose their son is a kindergartner at Paseo. And one of the things he said in fervor was that he had to go to the local Dollar Tree to find his son some items for his ecosystem that he was making. And his son chose a ecosystem that was marine life. So he was in a stressful situation and went to like 6 different Dollar Trees around Levine. And at the end of it, he ended up having to make a little styrofoam dolphin. But I say all that he, as a parent, was so excited that he had an opportunity to make an ecosystem with his son in kindergarten. And to be able to have that opportunity to be in class and to create those experiential opportunities and the project-based learning was so important for him. And even though he was a stressed out dad, and there isn't a single dolphin in all of South Phoenix for him to use, he was grateful to our schools to be able to do that. So yes, I'm just grateful that our kids are in school and able to learn. So cheers to us.
Ms. Ward.
I have nothing to add except thank you guys for everything that you're doing.
Michelle.
Yeah, I think really just thank you to all the teachers and administrators because it is a very challenging season. And so I just appreciate all of your dedication and your passion and your hard work and just dealing with everything that's going on and making sure kids are learning and just to not forget with everything going on, not to forget to just pause and really listen to kids and what they're dealing with and taking the time to really ensure that they know that they have a purpose and a plan for education. So thank you.
I know that your regular jobs are stressful and busy as can be, and then we, sort of have you on second duty and third duty and fourth duty because things are a little unique right now. And that's not just you, that's all of your staff. And I just appreciate, everybody being so willing to pivot and do things different. Because even this year, we're already pivoting and doing things a little bit different and things change as we move along. And I really appreciate your willingness to just do what it takes, truly. I have a funny story from one of Reagan's first days of school, which I won't share publicly, but Miss Epax, I'm sure, knows the story. And, it's just a situation where everyone's just trying to do their best. And it ended up, very funny for the 7th grade class of Reagan's school. And just, really special kids that we have. I know not all of you live here in the community. Some of you do, some of you don't. But it's the work that you and your staff do that make all of us here on the board and our parents proud to live in this community, the work that you guys do and the work that your staff do. So continued appreciation for that. Hang in there. Okay. We have another board meeting on October 14th. That will be my son's 21st birthday, but I'll still be here. And we have a couple of we need to adjourn first. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion. Second.
Motion and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. And then we have two public hearings. One is the update on bond and budget overrides and capital improvement projects from one of tonight's Pinnacle Award winners, Mr. Hegarty.
Thank you, Madam President. Do I keep this thing on up here? Okay, just making sure. I'll never get used to these. Sorry. What the necessary evil. Madam President, members of the board, fellow employees, and honored guests. One thing, before I even started on this, God, it was good to see the kids here tonight. It just keeps us anchored with why we're here, and it's just so cool to see that. So, sorry I had to say that one.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I do enjoy that. We are required every year, if we have anything approved by our voters, to go through how we spent the money and how we project to spend any residual monies going forward under those authorizations. We are supposed to have this hearing between September 1st and October 30th of every year. In our situation, we have bonds, we have a capital override, and we have an M&O override that we'll report on. So also going to give you a little brief update on some other capital items that affect us overall, because it's part of the big picture too. So we're going to talk about our capital, which is also called District Additional Assistance, which has actually got two elements to it. Part of it is our override. Part of it we get from the state, our bond. Money we get from the School Facilities Board for what's known as building renewal, and then money we also get for new school construction. The 610, the additional assistance, this is a formula. We get some money from the state, and they combined a couple other capital funds into one years ago. This is the last time you're going to hear me talk about that because now it's becoming ancient history. But they've done this in the past, and now, but when they ran into trouble, they actually started reducing how much money they gave us. And over time, and you're going to see some charts on this, they've been giving it back to us as the state budget's been recovering. But last year, the reduction that we received was about $500,000 that we should have received under their formula. Also, I'll let you know the other part of this. So that's the part we get from the state. The other part is what our voters have graciously given us from a capital override. It's 10% of our base support level, and we had that renewed in 2018. It generated $4.1 million for us, and this authority runs through 2025. Now, side note, we try and renew everything a year early, just in case we have a bad showing at the polls. It gives us another opportunity to go back out before we lose the authority to spend the money. So this is a 7-year authority. Expect a request to go out in 2024. I know that's a presidential year, but frankly, we've actually had very good luck in presidential years. This has been a very, very supportive group of folks here in Laveen. Okay, so what does that look like? Our override, like I said, ours is based on 10% of the base support level, but we used to have one that was only $900,000. You can see in those prior years that flat $900,000 amount. The issue for this district is we've got growth, and as we grow, those capital needs also grow along with it. So we did start in 2013-14 having 10% of our base support level. As that goes up because we're getting more kids, so does our authority to have capital dollars. Now, I've also then stacked it. It's the same graph. I know it looks a little different because I made them a little smaller because I stacked in the money the state is giving us. So you can see our total capital implications. So you can see the same graph is in the dark at the bottom. The red is what the state has been giving us. And so when you look at how little that was in some of these years when they were trying to balance their budget and cutting districts, honestly, this override has been a real saving grace to us. So you can also see it recovering. And this right here showing what we had last year is a good number. And for the current year, we're going to actually see the recovery of that other $500,000. So what do we use the money for? Typically, we've been using it for technology, software licensing. You can see the whole list of things here: textbook adoptions, instructional aids, some school renovations, and we also have used our capital dollars to help support new school construction, along with funds from other monies from other funds. What did that look like last year? Well, this is the breakdown in those areas by the dollars that we actually spent. And just recognize our district-wide technology. We spend about $718,000 last year, and that's strictly for software and software renewals, district-wide, even supports something called NutriSlice, which is our child nutrition program for tracking students in there. We have all of our annual licenses, learning suites, things of that nature. Tech equipment was about $457,000. And we also use some of the money to support our solar lease that we have on at 7 of our schools. And it also supported some of the construction we did at Cheatham this past year. And we bought some vehicles too. Fund 630 is our bond fund. And back in 2015, we did get voter approval for a $42 million authority. Recognize that we actually, the bonds are, the authority to issue bonds is based on percentage or secondary assessed valuation. And when we saw our secondary assessed valuation take a real hit, we had some bond authority that we could not issue years and years ago. So when we asked for this authority, we didn't have enough capacity to issue all those bonds at the time. But as we've seen our assessed valuation grow, we're also seeing the authority be able to issue these bonds. The first issue was for $7.4 million. 100% of that was used in supporting the construction at Sail Point. Kind of a weird number, $7.4 million. That was the maximum we could issue at that point in time. The rest of the school was built with a combination of other funds, including some of our capital reserves. Now, we issued a second bond in September of 19, and last year we spent about $4.6 million of that. So what did we spend the money on? Again, construction. We did a classroom addition and we call it an addition, I probably should have said replacement. We had portables at Cheatham that were replaced with brick and mortar structures. So we also used some of the bond money to support the construction of the EFGA campus, school number 9. We bought an activity bus, and we also invested in our technology. Our assessed valuation, secondary, this shows you how our assessed valuation, again, this is the basis for how we can even issue bonds. And it also affects tax rates. But you can see when we went through the Great Recession, property values dropped like a stone. And it's always on a 2-year lag. So even though we started seeing the recession in 2008, 2009, the effect hit after that, 2 years after, and then we saw it bottom out. But it also takes 2 years to recover. So as it comes back up, you can see that in 21, 22, the year we're in right now, we finally have beaten where we were in assessed valuation 12 years ago. So that recovery was really important. But that also means we have a capacity to issue about $43 million in bonds total. Our current bond total is around $23 million. So we have the ability to issue the rest of our bonds, which is about $19.8 million right now if we decided to. And our secondary assessed valuation went up by 10.8% this last year. So again, a good number. It's a really good number. And given all the construction that you see going on, again, you see it today, you'll see it in our assessed valuation in 2 years. So what are we going to be spending the money on going forward? Well, because we can now issue it for 10%, it used to be 5%, which was just basically strangling the ability for districts that are growing, like Levine. But we can issue that money anytime we wish, and it's when we need it that we're going to issue it. Now, we get a 10-year window of time. So the bonds were passed in 2015. We have until 2025 to issue, and 3 years after that to spend it out. So we do have 3 years to spend after we issue the bonds. We always try and organize the bonds in a way that we minimize impact on our taxpayers. They've been so good to us. We try and maintain a flat tax rate as much as possible so that, again, we need to be good to them because they've been very good to us. So we haven't planned the next bond issue yet, and it's going to be dependent upon a number of factors. For example, is the state going to give us money for the next school? Is it going to buy the land for us? So these are all things that we have to weigh out before we make the decision on when to go ahead and issue those bonds. And so right now, if we don't get money from the state, we got to build school number 11. Although you said we only had 9 schools. Well, school number 10 is our online academy. So technically it is actually school number 11, but it's brick and mortar number 10. We're probably, based on our projections, 9,000 homes and apartments over the next 3 years are on the table to be built. We're probably going to need another brick and mortar after that one. So we're looking at land right now at 2 different sites. I think we're going to have a future discussion on that in another board meeting. But we're also building a preschool over at Desert Meadows. So that's going to be a great program there. And if you look just across on the south side of Desert Meadows, you'll see 775 homes going up in the McClellan Ranch area. So again, the growth is there. We also will be using the money for bonds, technology, and our safety program, which includes looking at infrastructure for cameras and card access. So start talking about getting rid of keys and going to cards. We've done that at the Estrella Foothills Global Academy, and we look to expand that district-wide. That way, somebody loses a key, somebody's got access to our buildings. Somebody loses a card, you turn it off. So I think you're going to see some real benefits to that going forward. Now, every year, we do bring to the governing board a 5-year capital plan. We prioritize our needs, and every year, again, we do it on a rolling 5 years, but at the same time, needs change as we go through a year. So based on that, we do reassess, and we start funding everything from the first priority. And that first priority can be different depending on what happens during the year. Again, technology really soared to the top when we had to get extra units to take home for the kids. So that plan changed a bit. But typically, we try and fund everything that is priority one. We start with health and safety issues, things of that nature, and then, of course, our construction and our growth and our infrastructure. Now, talk just briefly about building renewal. It's in here, our taxpayers locally aren't paying for this. This money does come from the state, but I'll tell you, having somebody like Robert Jacobson and his crew have been phenomenal, because they used to give us money for building renewal. Again, that's to replace things, buildings, roofs, infrastructure items, based on a formula on square footage and number of buildings, age of buildings, things like that. They did away with that years ago. So now everything is only done through grants. Well, we got a new roof. You see 1.1 million that we've been awarded this past year. The roof at Trailside was one of those. It took us over 2 years to get it done. Robert, thank you, because that was a huge project. We spent about $615,000 of that last year. The project ran over the summer, so obviously we had to carry over some of those funds to finish it off in the current fiscal year. Why do we want to talk about new school construction? Because that will affect us if we are able to get money from the state. The formula that they give the new schools under is based on you have to be overcrowded before you even qualify. Well, then you have a year to plan, and then you have a year to build. So you're basically 2 years past when you needed a school under the state formula. Now, we were able to jump through a window where they allowed us to go to current year when we built EFGA. So that was just really, an unbelievable time for us, because we were able to jump through that window and got 14.6 million. I'm not sure we're going to see that again, but we are working very closely with the Department of Administration, which has taken over the management of the School Facilities Board, and see if we can get something done a little quicker. We have been conceptually approved for 2 schools, and it conceptually is in quotes because there's no funding associated with it yet. We have to show the growth. They've put it in for 24-25, which means we would open in August of 24. The data that I submitted to them indicates that we need it in August of 23, so 2 years from right now, we should be opening a new school based on the projections I've given them. I just got to get them to agree with me, so and get them to fund it. So, but they do recognize, based on the growth that we're seeing down here, we're going to need 2 new schools, and hopefully we can get them to pay for the land, which is about $5 million per site, and then a school. Yeah, I know, I saw your $5 million a site. It's expensive. I wish we would have bought it 5 years ago. Whole different game. But anyway, again, that will dictate how we want to utilize some of those other funds going forward, or even maybe go for another bond. Now we'll talk about another authorization we've gotten, and this one is a great story too, because we just renewed it in November of 2020. So we are currently in the first year of a 5-year full funding authorization. This is, technically, they call it a 7-year authorization, but it phases out if you don't renew it before the 5th year. And again, typically, we always go a year early, which coincidentally or not is still 2024. So we may have 2 items on the agenda for the voters to vote on, or on the ballot box, sorry. So it'll be our 15% M&O override and the capital. Now, last year we got $6.2 million as a result of this override. We've used that to fund our full day, art, music, PE, elective programs, and our competitive teacher and staff salaries. And anybody looking at our teacher salary schedule, they just have to be impressed. I'm sorry, it's really good. So, and I think that's also reflected in, when Tim goes out and recruits, people see that thing, and I think it really helps us get folks in here because we don't have any empty positions out there, so that's good. Again, mentioned that it's going to expire in 26. And with that, I will stand for questions.
Any questions?
Great.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions from the public? Yeah. I don't think we have any public. I think you all belong to us. Okay, and now we have Kathy's to come up on the instructional time model. Ms. Davis, please.
It's public hearing number 2.
Yeah.
Good evening, President Berrigan, members of the board, Dr. Sprout, and our guests back there. Hi, everybody. All right. Tonight, this is a new statutory requirement. We do need to have 2 public hearings if we are interested in adopting an instructional time model. So tonight, I will just give a brief overview of what that is and what it is that we are interested in doing, and then seek any feedback, and then we'll schedule public hearing number 2. So as you know, we have returned to in-person instruction. So one of the things that was really exciting, and we were a little nervous in the summer, is are our kids going to come back? Because we did end the school year with over 3,000 students choosing to stay online. So as of last week, we had almost 7,300 students that were back in person enrolled, and just about 168 enrolled in our online academy. So clearly our community is wanting to be back and wanting to be in person, and we are wanting them back as well. We know that that is the best learning option for most of our children, and we've got work to do. But to bring them back safely, we do have a lot of mitigation strategies in place. As you know, we're cleaning and disinfecting our facilities. We are teaching hand washing and respiratory etiquette. It's become part of our school's PBIS programs where we teach kids, sneeze in your elbow and all those good rules. We are still practicing social distancing, so to the extent that it's feasible, we're still trying to keep space between us, as you can see here. We are cohorting students as feasible. One of our latest mitigation strategies is back to what we're all wearing on our face. And whether we like wearing them or not, there's no secret that if students and staff are wearing them, we don't have to cohort it, or we don't have to quarantine as much. So when we know we have a positive COVID case, but we know everyone was wearing a mask, we don't have to send all these students home. So that's been a real helpful mitigation strategy. And we're still contact tracing to see who was near whom, and all those good things. But our attendance has been an issue. We have had a lot of students absent. This is really from the first day of school until last Thursday. So you can see that it peaked at over 1,400 students absent on a given day. That is higher than normal. And 707 of those students that have been absent have a COVID-19 code. It doesn't mean they all had COVID. Most of them are close contacts. It was all the quarantining that we had to do. When we had a positive case, we had to send everyone home that was close to them, that wasn't masked. And so it's impacted a lot of our students. The great news is we're sort of seeing that go back down. Today I checked and we were at 800. So that's still high. That's higher than normal, but it's better than 1,400. So we just got to keep moving in the right direction. One of the things that we're doing when we have, and so all those absences are not COVID related. We still just have students that are absent. We have students who are ill, students who take vacation. And so we do need to continue to work on our attendance and get our kids to come to school. But for those ones who are quarantining or have to stay home for up to 10 days, we have talked with our admin and created some plans to try to give them some continuity of support. And so all of our classroom teachers have a Google Classroom set up. Our goal is to teach in person and have in-person learning, but when we need it, we do have the ability, and everybody learned how last year, to have a Google Classroom. Our teachers are ready for both in-person and virtual, so while they're lesson planning, it's always kind of in the back of their mind, how can I push this out digitally if I need to? We have substitute lists ready, and we've been doing training, and so because not only does it impact our students, but sometimes we have staff who are missing school. So we are prepared with who can cover if we need that. Whenever we have to quarantine, if it is just an individual student or a small group, those procedures are different if it was a whole class.
And so if it is just a small group, for our K2 kids, even though we do have the teachers and they do have a Google Classroom, we still feel that it's more appropriate to send home paper, pencil tasks. And so for our little ones, if they get quarantined, we are asking teachers to send home those flashcards, to send home those little readers, to tear out the math pages, and they have been doing that. For our 3rd through 8th graders, we are asking the teachers to push out those assignments and activities through Google Classroom. Teachers are encouraged to check in with their students. Remember, these teachers are still teaching in person all day, every day, so they can't just go do online all day too. But we have great teachers, and they have been checking in with kids and doing that after school. For our teachers who do after-school check-ins or tutorings with kids who are quarantined, we do offer pay for them as part of the tutoring program we have. If we have a whole class quarantine, which we have had a couple, but since we're all masked up, we're hoping that we don't have any more of those. But if we do, then we would revert back to a Google Meet, because in that case, the teacher doesn't have any kids in the classroom, so they could do their whole lesson live via a Google Meet. The thing with this, though, is that students are marked absent. So even if they're in a Google Meet, if it was a whole class, or if they're doing all their assignments through Google Classroom and the teacher's checking in with them after school and they're doing we have a lot of teachers doing little mini live meet sessions at the end of the day, they're still marked absent. But there's new legislation, House Bill 2862, which does allow school districts to adopt an instructional time model that provides flexibility in how we can count our required instructional hours. And that includes options for remote learning. So this was kind of designed, responding to COVID in all the districts that were doing these creative hybrid models, which we did too, where you had, different options. So we're not looking to do a hybrid model and go back to some kids in person and some online. But when we need it and we have kids that are absent due to COVID, it would be nice to be able to give them credit for doing their work. So the requirements, if we want to have an improved instructional time model, we have to have at least 2 public hearings. So this would be number 1. We need to elicit feedback. We need to have governing board approval, which could come at the conclusion of the 2nd public hearing. And then if that is approved, we can implement it immediately. With an approved ITM, instructional time model, when students are required to be absent and it's related to COVID, whether they have COVID or they were just a close contact and they have to quarantine, we could give them assignments and academic tasks to do and check in with them. And if they do that, we can give them credit. And there's a new code that the state has created through the ITM process, which would be a distance learning attendance. And so it changes it from right now, we have a C19 code, which is an excused absence, to a DL attendance code, which is a attendance in distance learning. So our proposed plan is really pretty simple. We are really looking to do this plan just for COVID-related absences. We're not looking to do anytime a student is absent, they can do distance learning, or if they want to stay home for a couple weeks, they could do distance learning. We really want our kids back in school, and I think our families want their kids back in school. But when it is necessary, that's when we would have a plan for those students. And so they would get their academic support, and then teachers could mark them present if they do that work. And if the board chooses, we could retroactive it. So when pending your approval at the next public hearing, we could put into our plan that it goes into effect from the first day of school. And so all those 707 kids, and there's probably a few more now today, that have a COVID-related attendance absence, we could go back if they've done their work and mark them as present. So that's really it in a nutshell. I would be open for any feedback or questions or comments from the board or the public.
Thank you for putting that together and making that really clear for everybody. I appreciate it. Any questions or comments?
I was surprised to find out that they were being marked absent.
Yeah.
When they're still, so thank you for putting this together.
Yeah, right now we don't have, it's not legal for us to mark them present, even if they were in a Google Meet or did schoolwork all day. But this will be a nice benefit for our families. And if we can get it done before the first quarter ends, which is our goal, then we can get it fixed before report cards come out. And so if really your absences were only based on COVID, a parent and a student will feel a little better to see that that's not marked on their, on their report card. Any other comments or questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. That's it. Good night, guys.
Thanks.